Jacob Blake, the black man shot 7 times in the back by the Kenosha police, gave rather philosophical advice from his hospital bed.
I just want to say, man, to all the young cats out there, and even the older ones, older than me, it's a lot more life to live out here, man. Your life, and not only just your life, your legs, something that you need to move around and move forward in life, could be taken from you like this, man. And I promise you, the type of shit that you will go through, staples, I got staples in my back, staples in my damn stomach. You do not want to have to deal with this shit, man. 24 hours, every 24 hours, it's pain, it's nothing but pain. It hurts to breathe, it hurts to sleep, it hurts to move from side to side, it hurts to eat. Please, I'm telling you, change your lives out there. We can stick together, make some money, make everything easier for our people out here, man, because there's so much time that has been wasted.
Notice anything missing from his sage advice? The man didn't say, had I complied, I would not be here. Had I complied, I would not have suffered this fate. What is so difficult about saying comply, you will not die? You know what these high-profile killings all have in common of these suspects? Virtually all of them would be alive had they complied. What's so difficult about saying comply, you won't die? Now, a longtime activist in Phoenix who frequently accused the police of being trigger happy was asked by the Maricopa County Sheriff Department, why don't you take some of these shoot, don't shoot drills that we take, and you find out how difficult it is to make a decision in a split second. To this activist's credit, he agreed to take the test. Here's what happened.
I'm going to have you put the holster on right inside your belt loop there.
Jarrett Maupin gets his weapon. You might recognize him as a high-profile organizer in the minority community. Just last month, he led marches on Phoenix Police headquarters after an officer shot an unarmed man.
We want his badge, we want his gun, we want his job.
Today, he accepted an invitation to look at things from the other side, agreeing to go through a force-on-force training session with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. 3 scenarios where you have to decide to shoot or not shoot. Scenario 1 is a call about a man casing cars in a parking lot. Maupin approaches the man and starts asking questions.
What? Where you have your hand in your gun?
You're looking for your vehicle. What kind of car do you drive?
Where you have your hand in your gun?
What kind of car do you drive?
This is my car, man.
Maupin, the officer, is shot. It happens that fast.
At what time did you think that it was time for you to address the use of force that was given?
When he came to the back of the vehicle,
okay.
and was hiding, you know, I could sense something was wrong.
Scenario 2, a call of 2 men fighting.
What's going on today, gentlemen?
What do you want?
What's happening here?
Tell me why you shot.
Because he was within that zone, you know. I felt there was an imminent threat. I didn't necessarily see him armed, but he came clearly to do some harm to the officer, to my person. It's hard to make that call. It's a
Scenario 3, a call about a possible burglar walking down the street. Maupin gets him on the ground.
Everybody, look at this guy. What are you doing?
No shots fired, but the suspect did have a hidden knife in his waistband. I went through the scenarios too, without seeing what Maupin did. Same results for both of us. Things happen very fast out here. I asked Maupin what his biggest takeaway from this exercise will be.
I didn't understand how important compliance was, but after going through this, yeah, my attitude has changed. This is all unfolding in 10 to 15 seconds. People need to comply with the orders of law enforcement officers for their own sake.
He learned the value of compliance, and you haven't been telling people that before? What have you been telling people? What is your responsibility, sir, as an activist, to give people the proper advice to minimize this? You never told people, comply, you won't die. You jumped down the throats of the police at the first thing without ever considering the behavior of the suspect. How is that helping? You're not. Now, a lot of people believe silly ideas. And silly ideas are one thing when they have no real world consequence. This does. This silly idea causes cops to pull back. It's called the Ferguson Effect, this narrative that the cops are out killing blacks just because they're black. It's called the Ferguson Effect. Cops pull back, bad guys know it, crime goes up, the very people that the Black Lives Matter claims that they care about are the ones who are hurt. The other thing it does, you're a young black man driving a car, you're pulled over. Why shouldn't you be wary? Why shouldn't you be anxious? Why shouldn't you assume this cop is going to do ill because you've been given a steady diet of this from media, from Democrats, from so-called activists, that these guys are out to get you. It escalates, and many times things can go south. The other thing that happens, it's getting cops killed because of this bogus narrative motivating a lot of people who believe this nonsense.
Hunt is on right now for the shooter that the LA County Sheriff's Department says ambushed 2 of its deputies. All of this happening just down the street from us. This is East Palmer. The shooting happened down that way. It is only just a few blocks from the Compton Sheriff's Station.
Now, you want to see something truly sick? Watch how this Compton bystander, filming the whole thing on his smartphone, gives play-by-play as if it were a baseball game, and he was the play-by-play announcer announcing a home run hit by the home team. It is sickening.
They just got aired out. Somebody ran up on the car and bust on their right through the window in the face.
Even the frequently race car whipping Mark Lamont Hill, a African-American professor at Temple University, even he conceded that the data do not show that the police are killing blacks just because they're black.
Now, when you get to death, when you get to police shootings, the most accurate and recent data from the studies that are out don't suggest a racial disparity, right? Black people aren't necessarily more likely to be killed by law enforcement every day, on a day-to-day basis. In fact, the numbers are relatively low.
I mentioned the Ferguson Effect Heather McDonald describes.
There was a study done in 2005, an economist at the University of Washington looking at the police riots in Cincinnati in 2001. And the economist found a clear correlation between officers backing off of that proactive, discretionary type of policing and a rise in felony crime. Chicago is, as you suggest, Doug, the primary example of what I've called the Ferguson effect. Last year, as crime was starting this very, very worrisome increase, U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch called an emergency meeting in Washington in October of big city mayors, police chiefs, and U.S. attorneys from across the country to discuss this crime increase. Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago, came and he told the participants that Chicago cops, as he said, had gone fetal and they were less likely to interdict criminal behavior. That was 2015, when cops were already in Chicago reacting to this false narrative. This year, on top of last year's back off and depolicing, pedestrian stops in Chicago are down 82%. Homicides and non-fatal shootings are up nearly 50%. Again, you cannot talk to an officer. I was in Chicago in June. An officer said he has never experienced so much hatred on the streets in his 19 years on the job. He said it's basically an undoable job now.
And this police are killing blacks narrative just because they're black also motivated 3 different black men to kill execution style officers in New York, in Baton Rouge, and in Dallas, all during the latter half of Barack Obama's second term.
Police departments around the country are telling their personnel to be extra vigilant this morning after the killing of 2 officers in New York City. Officers Rafael Ramos and Wenjen Liu were shot execution-style Saturday in their patrol car.
On the eve of this convention, the country has been shaken by another deadly act of violence. 6 law enforcement officers were shot this morning in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 3 are dead. Another is in critical condition tonight. They were ambushed by a gunman that the police identify as a black ex-Marine from Kansas City.
President Obama is cutting short his overseas visit with NATO and European leaders to visit Dallas early next week in the wake of the deadliest day for law enforcement since 9/11. 5 officers were killed by a sniper during a protest on Thursday.
Defund the police? An August Gallup poll found that the percentage of blacks who want the police staffing to remain where it is or increased was almost identical to the percentage of whites who want police staffing to remain where it is or increase. Asked whether they want the police to spend more time, the same amount of time, or less time than they currently do in their area, most Black Americans, 61%, want the police presence to remain the same. That is similar to the 67% of all U.S. adults preferring the status quo, including 71% of white Americans, end of quote. And a growing number of blacks in Portland are finding these protesters counterproductive. Black Portlanders, 31% very harmful, 17% somewhat harmful. Total is 48%. Black Portlanders who find it very helpful, somewhat helpful, 29%. So 48% very harmful, somewhat harmful versus 29% very helpful, somewhat helpful. Bottom line, all lives matter, including blue lives, and guess who relies more on the police than anybody else?
The thing for us to remember is that the same crime element that white people are scared of, black people are scared of. The same crime element that white people fear, we fear. So we defend ourselves from the same crime element that they scared of. You know what I'm saying? While they waiting for legislation to pass and everything, we next door to the killer. We next door to him, you know, because we up in the projects where it's 80 in the building. All them killers that they letting out, they right there in that building. But it's better, just because we black, we get along with the killers or something? We get along with the rapists because we black and we from the same hood? What is that? We need protection too.
I can't sit here and act like I go through what everything a poor black person go through. If you got any humanity, you don't even have to be black. You don't even have to be black to understand humanity. That stuff is just awful. It's wrong. We need police reform. You know, we just need police reform because we need police. We need to weed out the bad cops. You know, I hear these guys getting on television, these politicians talking about defunking the police department. First of all, that would have a negative effect on the black communities. Who the black people gonna call, Ghostbusters?
Or as King put it, Rodney, that is.
Can we all get along? Can we get along?
I'm Larry Elder, and we've got a country to save. I'll see you next time.